Somebody get the paramedics on standby, because what we just watched Akbar V do to Akbar V on TikTok is being called the most devastating career suicide the rap game has witnessed in a decade, and the walls are not just closing in on Akbar V anymore, the walls are actively burying Akbar V while a live studio audience of strangers throws virtual tomatoes at her head in real time. This is not a hit piece. This is not a rumor. This is a live stream that Akbar V willingly hosted, willingly broadcast, willingly stood inside for over an hour, and by the time the smoke cleared, industry veterans were quietly saying that Akbar V may have just handed Cardi B the cleanest, most humiliating, most unforced knockout victory in the entire history of this bizarre one-sided feud. Because the second you look at what actually happened on that live, the entire Akbar V is coming for Cardi B narrative doesn't just fall apart, it detonates in Akbar V's own hand. Look, before we walk you through this atrocity frame by frame, before we play the receipts, before we get into how a full room of TikTok strangers turned on Akbar V mid-song, do us one favor. Tap that like button and share this video across every platform you post on, because the story you are about to sit through is the kind of story that only breaks once, and you deserve to hear it from somebody actually paying attention to the details instead of somebody parroting the recap. Now let's get into it, because Akbar V has officially outrun the friendly commentary lane, and after tonight, there is nowhere left to run. Here is where we are. Cardi B has been quietly, calmly, surgically stacking wins for months. Cardi B dropped "Aha," and the record didn't just move, it locked itself into the rotation of every hip-hop feed on earth within 48 hours. Cardi B watched Tia Kemp scoop her single up, march onto TikTok Live, and play "Aha" directly into Akbar V's ear while Akbar V sat there watching it happen with her own two eyes. And Cardi B, being Cardi B, did the one thing more damaging than a diss. Cardi B stayed silent and let the audience do the surgery. That was the setup. This next part is the wound. Because tonight, Akbar V decided she was going to answer. Not with a press release. Not with a strategic single rollout. Not with an interview. No, Akbar V logged onto TikTok Live, gathered a random handful of creators, and previewed a brand new Cardi B diss record for a jury of strangers who had no obligation to be kind. And that jury of strangers, real talk, did not extend 1 ounce of mercy. Not one. That is not editorializing. That is what the receipts show, and we are about to walk through those receipts one by one. See, the thing that separates this story from every other rap beef story of the year is the pure, unforced, entirely voluntary nature of what Akbar V walked into. Nobody set Akbar V up. Nobody trapped Akbar V. Nobody drugged Akbar V and dragged Akbar V into a viper pit against her will. Akbar V walked into that live, hit go, and pointed a microphone at herself. That's the part that has the internet losing its collective mind tonight, because in the age of prep teams and rollout strategy and A&R meetings and label polishing, Akbar V decided the smartest move for her brand new anti-Cardi B anthem was to hand it, unmastered, unfinished, unfiltered, over to a room full of strangers on TikTok Live and beg them for a reaction. And what a reaction Akbar V got. The account known as Female Rap Fan captured the whole thing frame by frame. The caption on the video read, "6 toes Akbar previewed her upcoming Cardi diss and let's just say the girls wasn't feeling it." Now that caption is spicy, and we're not co-signing it. But the footage speaks louder than any caption anybody could put on it. Because inside of 30 seconds of Akbar V pressing play on her new record, the entire vibe in that TikTok room curdled. The energy dropped. The smiles vanished. The other creators started giving each other that face that anybody who has ever performed a rough draft for their friends knows all too well. That face that says, "I do not know how to tell this person what I am about to tell this person." And then the words came out. One of the creators, mid-song, cut in and told Akbar V straight to her face, "I like some of your bars, but I hate that viral part. That repeat, viral viral viral, I don't like it." And that alone would have been survivable. That alone would have been a bruise. But the very next thing that happened, the very next thing, is the moment industry insiders are already calling, the moment the career changed forever. Because a second creator on that same live looked Akbar V dead in the camera and said, "Send me the song and I will send you a detailed critique on the back end." A detailed critique. On the back end. On your diss record. On the disc you were about to send at Cardi B, the diamond-selling megastar with a Grammy shelf, a fashion empire, a global fan base, and Stefon Diggs on the couch. A detailed critique on the back end. Between us, if somebody says that to you after they hear your record, you don't finish the song. You don't drop the record. You don't post the snippet. You go home. You unplug the mic. You take a walk. You call your mama. You reevaluate the entire arc of your artistic life. That is not a bar we're throwing. That is the industry rule. A detailed critique on the back end is the peer review kiss of death, and Akbar V received it live, on camera, in front of a chat that was already actively flogging her in real time. And that chat. Oh, that chat. The chat scrolled so fast during Akbar V's preview that entire critiques were flying past the screen faster than the human eye could physically catch them. Anonymous strangers, hundreds of them, in real time, typing verdicts. Tell the truth. Sorry, I don't like it. Send it straight to the trash. This is not going to go viral. The beat is trash. Second-hand embarrassment. Where is Yenti? Ask Yenti to chime in. Tomatoes in the chat. My stomach hurt, please make it stop. Corn emoji. Hit the mute button. Damn. It's not it. Yes, 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 submit your retirement to the league. Y'all know how much studio time costs? Imagine going in the studio to disc Cardi B and Tia knowing it's not going nowhere but YouTube. One person literally typed the words, "Y'all swear Akbar V says she getting a Grammy for this?" A Grammy. For this. Somebody in that chat had the nerve, in the moment, to remind the entire audience that Akbar V had recently gone viral crying on a different live stream about her dream of one day meeting Beyoncé, one day being told by Beyoncé that Beyoncé loved her work, one day winning a Grammy. That fantasy is still ringing in every hip-hop feed on the internet. And here Akbar V was, 48 hours later, standing on the same TikTok that watched her cry that dream out loud, previewing the record that was supposed to make that dream real, and watching a live scroll of strangers physically laugh her out of the room. The optics are surgical. The optics are bone deep. The optics are the kind of thing you do not walk off in one news cycle. Now, we have to pump the brakes here for a second, because there is a bigger conversation underneath this conversation, and if you don't see it now, you are going to be lost by the end of the video. So sit tight. This is the part everybody is missing. The whole angle of Akbar V's new song, the entire lyrical spine of the record she was previewing, is not actually a direct hit at Cardi B. Read that back. The record was framed as a Cardi B diss, marketed as a Cardi B diss, hyped as a Cardi B diss, but the actual bars, the actual jabs, the actual punchlines Akbar V was rehearsing on that live, were aimed at Stefon Diggs. Stefon Diggs. Not Cardi B. Akbar V was making little snide jokes about trying to introduce Stefon Diggs to her girlfriend and Stefon Diggs allegedly being more interested in her man. Akbar V was leaning into the whole Chris Blake Griffith conversation swirling around Stefon Diggs online. Akbar V was throwing shots through Stefon Diggs' name, dancing around the sexual ambiguity rumor cloud that has been following Stefon Diggs, and hoping that the ricochet would land on Cardi B by proxy. That is not a diss. That is a ricochet. That is a rebound shot in a pool game where you needed to sink the 8-ball and instead you scratched off the corner of the table. Because if you are going to war with Cardi B, you go to war with Cardi B. You do not go to war with Cardi B's baby father, Stefon Diggs. You do not build your headline shot around innuendo about the man Cardi B just had a son with. That is not battle rap. That is not confrontational hip-hop. That is not for the streets. That is a diagonal shot at a target that requires a straight shot, and the whole point of a diss record is that the target and the audience both know instantly, without translation, who just got hit. If you have to explain the diss, you did not write the diss. And Akbar V is going to have to explain this diss line by line, and Akbar V is already exhausted just previewing it. Now check this, the reason this whole moment is going to metastasize into a full-blown career problem for Akbar V is not the record itself. It is not the bars themselves. It is not even the chat. It is the pattern. And once we walk you through the pattern, you will understand exactly why Akbar V is in more trouble tonight than she has ever been in. Because this is not the first Cardi B diss Akbar V has recorded. This is not the second. This is not the third. Industry insiders who have tracked Akbar V's discography over the past few years say that virtually every record Akbar V has released in the last era has been aimed, directly or indirectly, at Cardi B in some form or another. Not exaggerating. Not editorializing. That is what the timeline shows. And the previous diss Akbar V dropped, the last one before this current one, still has not seen an official commercial release. Not because Atlantic squashed it. Not because Cardi B lawyered up. But because Akbar V rapped the diss over a Cardi B beat, Atlantic copyright struck it. Akbar V has been hunting for a fresh instrumental to re-release the record on her own streaming credit ever since, and to this day the song has not seen the full light of day. Read that sentence again. Akbar V has been searching for a beat to redrop her own diss song for months, and the search is still going. That is not a rap career. That is a scavenger hunt with a microphone. And now, before Akbar V has even finished cleaning up the last diss, before Akbar V has even secured a beat for the previous one, Akbar V is on TikTok live previewing the next one. The next one. Rehearsing bars in front of strangers. Asking permission from a chat. Getting real-time critical feedback from creators who do not owe her a favor. Getting told to send the record to a stranger for a detailed critique on the back end. Rap license revoked. Between us, this is the industry equivalent of showing up to a championship boxing weigh-in with your gloves untied while the champion is already showered, dressed, and doing press. And we have not even gotten to the worst clip yet. That is what makes this live stream a career event. The clip we just walked you through, the detailed critique on the back end clip, is not the low point. The low point comes later. The low point is a completely separate creator, a woman with a screen name that Akbar V's audience is now calling Spider, and let us be clear, we do not know exactly who Spider is, we do not know Spider's age, we are not throwing shots at Spider, this is just what the internet is calling her tonight. That woman took the microphone in the middle of Akbar V's own preview room and freestyled a diss aimed directly at Akbar V. Live. On camera. On Akbar V's own broadcast. Real time. Spider hit Akbar V with the now viral chant, name 5 songs to your head. Bow your head. Bow your head. Name 4 songs to your head. Bow your head. Name 3 songs to your head. Bow your head. Name 2 songs to your head. Bow your head. 1 bar to your head. Bow your head. Now get on your knees and bow your head. And she kept going. And going. And going. In front of Akbar V. While Akbar V's own diss record was still fresh in the mic. While Akbar V's own diss record was still trying to get feedback. While the chat was still flooded with tomatoes. Spider took Akbar V's own livestream and turned it into an execution ceremony, and Akbar V, an actual signed rapper with a real discography, sat there and watched it happen. Not from a hotel room across the country. Not through a screen after the fact. Live. On the same feed. On the same broadcast. In the same window as Akbar V's own face. Understand what just happened. Understand it fully. Akbar V hosted a preview event for a Cardi B diss and got out-rapped, live, in her own room, by a random woman named after a bug. That is the industry ledger of the night. That is what will be written down. That is what the algorithm just archived forever. And here is where the walls really do close in, because Akbar V is not new to the game. Akbar V is not a rookie. Akbar V has actual bars. Akbar V has a real cadence. Akbar V has been on real projects. Akbar V is not, by any technical measure, without talent. Real credit where credit is due. But talent is not the currency in play tonight. Perception is the currency. And in the perception market, Akbar V just handed her enemies enough footage to run the airwaves for 6 months. Cardi B doesn't even have to respond. Tia Kemp doesn't even have to log on. Cardi B supporters don't even have to lift a finger. The TikTok chat did the work. Spider did the work. The creator asking for a detailed critique on the back end did the work. Akbar V's own live stream, a stream Akbar V herself hit start on, did the work. This is a humiliation ritual, and the only person Akbar V is doing it for is Akbar V. Nobody is forcing this. Nobody is scripting this. Nobody is choreographing this. Every single logistical decision that led to this train wreck was a decision Akbar V personally made. Akbar V picked the platform. Akbar V picked the collaborators. Akbar V picked the moment to press play. Akbar V picked the version of the record to preview. Akbar V picked the moment to sit and take Spider's freestyle without cutting the feed. Every single choice. Every one. Akbar V's fingerprints are on every frame. Now zoom back out with us for a second, because the bigger machinery is what actually matters here. What Akbar V is participating in, whether Akbar V realizes it or not, is a phenomenon we are now going to name for what it is. Call it Cardi B Adjacent Syndrome. That is what it is. That is the disease. That is the diagnosis. Cardi B Adjacent Syndrome is the pattern where an artist decides that the fastest route to relevance is a diagonal shot at a superstar, and the artist keeps taking that diagonal shot even after the shot has demonstrably failed, and the artist keeps recording new versions of the same diagonal shot every fiscal quarter in the hope that this time the ricochet will land. It never lands. It has never landed in the history of the format. And yet the artist keeps recording, keeps releasing, keeps previewing, keeps posting, because the artist has confused Cardi B's massive gravitational pull with a career strategy. Cardi B's orbit is not a career strategy. Cardi B's orbit is a vacuum. If you fly close enough, the vacuum takes your air. And Akbar V has been flying inside that vacuum for years. This is Akbar V's, by the most conservative honest count, roughly the 10th Cardi B diss attempt of the current era. 10. Some counts put it higher. And 0 of them, 0, have produced a career-defining moment in Akbar V's favor. Not one. Not one platinum plaque. Not one Grammy nomination. Not one crossover feature. Not one radio single. Not one meaningful chart entry from the diss cycle. 0 return on 10 fully committed attempts. In any other business, in any other industry, after that many failed attempts you rotate the strategy. You pivot. You find a new lane. You find a new sound. You find a new partner. You find a new audience. Akbar V is refusing to rotate. Akbar V is doubling down. Akbar V is tripling down. And the internet is watching Akbar V do it in real time. Real talk, and we are not the first to notice this, the people who could actually help Akbar V, the people in Akbar V's phone from Atlanta, the people who came up alongside Akbar V, the people who share a scene with Akbar V, they are staying away. They are not co-signing. They are not showing up on the feature. They are not posting the record. And Akbar V has been vocal about that. Akbar V has been on live before, complaining that Young Thug did not do this for her, that Lil Baby did not do that for her, that this artist did not extend that co-sign, that artist did not return a call. Understand what that pattern is telling you. When the people closest to you, the people who watched you come up, the people from your city, the people who share your scene, the people who own the phones your calls should be landing in, when those people go quiet, that is not a mystery. That is a message. That is the industry telling you, in the softest, kindest, most professional way possible, that whatever you are doing is not something they want to be tied to. And Cardi B was on Young Thug's last album, allegedly on a record that took shots at Akbar V, read that sentence back. The artist Akbar V says did not stand up for her, put Akbar V's rival on his album. That is not a coincidence. That is a verdict. So here we are. Akbar V is now, tonight, sitting in a position where the closest thing Akbar V has to a cosign is Spider on TikTok live freestyling, bow your head, at her face. Where the second closest thing Akbar V has to promotion is a stranger asking to email her a critique. Where the entire preview strategy for the biggest diss of her career is being crowdsourced to a live chat that just told her to submit her retirement to the league. Where Cardi B, who has said virtually nothing directly about any of this, because Cardi B does not have to, is out selling records, doing tour dates, and letting Akbar V's own broadcast handle the demolition on her behalf. That is not a beef. That is a supervised experiment. Cardi B is watching a petri dish on a screen. Akbar V is inside the petri dish. And now Akbar V's next release, the one she was previewing on that same live, is arriving into an atmosphere that has already, before the song is even out, been poisoned by the preview itself. Read that back too. The album cycle is dead before the album cycle starts. The record is dead before the record is out. The single is finished before the single drops. Because everybody who is going to hear the song has already heard the song. Everybody who is going to react to the song has already reacted to the song. Every reaction video that will ever be made about this record has already been previewed in the TikTok chat. There is nothing left to sell. There is nothing left to reveal. There is nothing left to market. Akbar V spoiled her own product for free, in a live stream she personally scheduled, in front of a jury she personally invited. That is a business decision so catastrophic that in any other industry it would be studied as a case study in graduate school. Cardi B Adjacent Syndrome, case file number 10. Filed under, How Not To. And here is the twist, because there is always a twist. There is always a wrinkle. There is always a something. Because Akbar V is not the first artist to fall into this pattern, and Akbar V will not be the last. The reason we are doing this whole breakdown is not to pile on Akbar V, piling on is the easy sport. Piling on is what the TikTok chat did. Piling on is what Spider did. The reason we are doing this breakdown is because there is a very real lesson embedded in the wreckage that every rapper coming up behind Akbar V needs to burn into memory. And that lesson is this: the moment your entire career strategy becomes reactive, the moment your entire release cadence orbits another artist's momentum, the moment your identity as an artist is legible only through your relationship to somebody else's name, you are no longer running your own race. You are running somebody else's. And nobody wins somebody else's race. Nobody. In the history of the format. Ever. Cardi B is running Cardi B's race. Cardi B is on album cycles, tour dates, feature runs, endorsement deals, magazine covers, streaming milestones. Cardi B is not thinking about Akbar V, Cardi B is not writing Akbar V bars. Cardi B is not scheduling studio time to respond to Akbar V, Cardi B slid one reference onto a Young Thug record. That is it. That is the total investment. And that investment was enough to keep Akbar V busy for what looks like the next 24 months. That is asymmetric warfare. That is what asymmetric warfare looks like when it is done properly. Cardi B spends one bar. Akbar V spends a career. Cardi B spends 30 seconds. Akbar V spends 30 months. Cardi B spends nothing. Akbar V spends everything. And you know what is the most brutal part of this? The most brutal part is that Akbar V has skill. Akbar V can rap. Akbar V has a voice, a cadence, a pocket, a delivery. Akbar V is not a talentless character. Akbar V is not somebody the industry would reject on skill grounds. But the industry does not reject on skill grounds. The industry rejects on temperature. And Akbar V's temperature right now is toxic. Not in the sense of morally toxic. In the sense of business toxic. Nobody wants to co-sign the artist getting freestyled on in her own live stream. Nobody wants to feature the artist whose chat is asking for tomatoes. Nobody wants to sit on the podcast next to the artist whose latest single is being critiqued for editorial changes by anonymous strangers before release. It is not personal. It is inventory management. And here is where we prophesy, because if there is one thing this whole cycle has taught us, it is that the future is already visible in the pattern. Here comes the prediction. Watch closely. Akbar V is going to release this new song. Akbar V is going to push through the humiliation of the preview and drop it anyway. Akbar V is going to caption the release with something defiant. Akbar V is going to log onto TikTok Live within 72 hours of the drop to defend the record. Akbar V is going to cry at least once on that follow-up live. Akbar V is going to invoke Beyoncé again. Akbar V is going to reference her Grammy dream again. And the record itself, is going to arrive to the same chat that already told her not to release it. And the chat is going to say what the chat has already said. And Akbar V is going to record another diss. And another. And another. Because the diss cycle is not about Cardi B. The diss cycle is about Akbar V's inability to walk away from a story that is no longer paying her back. Now, some of you watching this are going to say, but wait, the attention is the payoff. Any attention is payoff. Akbar V is trending. Akbar V is in the conversation. Akbar V is on your channel right now. Isn't that a win? Fair question. Serious question. Let us answer it seriously. Attention is not payoff. Attention is a currency. And currency has to be spent on something that yields interest. Attention that yields streams is payoff. Attention that yields ticket sales is payoff. Attention that yields brand deals is payoff. Attention that yields respect from your peer group is payoff. Attention that yields freestyle dices aimed at you in your own room, requests for post-release critique from strangers, and chat scrolls telling you to submit your retirement to the league, that is not payoff. That is bleed. That is currency being spent without interest. That is a subscription draining your account for a service you are not receiving. And the longer the subscription runs, the deeper the hole gets. Between us, this is the exact moment where somebody in Akbar V's team, if a team exists, if a team is authorized to speak, needs to walk into the room and say the 3 hardest words in this business. Not, I love you. Not, we got you. Not, we're proud of you. The 3 hardest words are, cancel the record. Cancel the record. Retire the disk cycle. Burn the hard drive. Delete the demo. Wipe the drafts folder. Take everybody who was on that TikTok live with her to the side, one by one, and quietly, professionally, respectfully, ask each of them, off the record, to act like the last 48 hours never happened. Pay them if you have to. Feed them if you have to. Compliment them if you have to. But the last 48 hours must be erased from the industry ledger, or Akbar V is going to spend the next album cycle chained to a memory that Akbar V's audience will not forget. But real talk, this is not going to happen. Because artists who have been running the diss cycle this long do not get talked out of the diss cycle. They get taken out of the diss cycle by circumstance. And the circumstance here is a Cardi B response record that, if Cardi B chooses to deploy it, will not need bars. Will not need punchlines. Will not need production. Will not need a rollout. Because Cardi B's response, the real response, has already been recorded. It was recorded by the TikTok chat. It was recorded by Spider. It was recorded by the creator asking for a critique on the back end. It was recorded by every stranger typing, "It's not it," into a scrolling feed. Cardi B does not have to write a diss. Cardi B just has to link the live stream in a caption. That is the diss. That is the whole diss. That is the final diss. The live stream is the diss. And the moment that link starts moving across the internet with Cardi B's fingerprints attached to it, the story becomes canonical. Not tabloid. Not gossip. Not commentary. Canonical. Written into the permanent record of the year. Every hip-hop end-of-year list is going to reference this live stream. Every Moments of the Year video is going to clip Spider's Bow Your Head freestyle. Every Biggest L of the Year ranking is going to include the detailed critique on the back end moment. This clip has already been archived by the algorithm. This clip has already been mirrored. This clip has already been reposted across every platform Akbar V does not control. The clip is now larger than Akbar V's ability to withdraw it. And that is the part Akbar V will still be unpacking 12 months from now. Now hold up, because there is one more layer to this, and if you skip this part you miss the whole thesis. Now let us pivot to the receipts one more time before we get out of here, because there is a specific quote from the chat that we do not want you to miss. Somebody in that TikTok chat, in real time, in the middle of Akbar V's preview, typed the words, "Imagine going in the studio to diss Cardi B, and Tia knowing it's not going nowhere but YouTube." Read that quote twice. Not going anywhere but YouTube. That is the audience, the actual audience, in real time, telling Akbar V, unprompted, uncoached, unpaid, that the ceiling of this record is a YouTube commentary segment. Not a Billboard entry. Not a streaming milestone. Not a plaque. Not a placement. Not a feature. Not a tour spot. A YouTube commentary segment. And ironically, that prediction has already come true. Because you are watching a YouTube commentary segment about that exact record right now. The chat called it in real time. The chat scored the record before the record even dropped. The chat is now more accurate than most industry analysts. There is another quote we have to bring up. Somebody in the same chat typed, "Y'all know how much studio time costs?" That is a question dressed as a statement, and it is one of the meanest, cleanest, most surgical bars anonymous chat has produced in a calendar year. Because that sentence contains within it every hidden cost Akbar V is currently absorbing. Studio time is real money. Engineers are real money. Mixing is real money. Mastering is real money. Beat placement is real money. The freestyle beat Akbar V had to abandon the last time is real money. The scavenger hunt to find a new instrumental for the re-release is real money. The camera Akbar V is now buying to leak into her computer because her webcam is broken is real money. All of it is real money. And every dollar Akbar V is spending on the diss cycle is a dollar Akbar V is not spending on the album that would actually rebuild her market position. Diss cycles do not build careers. Diss cycles feed careers, if you already have a career. If you do not have the career, the diss cycle eats you. And that brings us to the meta question of the entire moment. Why? Why is Akbar V doing this? Not the surface why. The real why. The under why. The why beneath the why. Because on the surface, the answer is obvious. Akbar V wants a Cardi B response, wants to force Cardi B into an official duel, wants Cardi B to name her, wants Cardi B to write bars about her, wants Cardi B to lift her from mid-tier to headline tier in one confirmed reply. That is the surface why. That is what the record is asking for. But under that why is a much scarier why. The under why is that Akbar V, at this stage of her career, may have quietly decided that the diss cycle is the only strategy she has left. That is a horrifying possibility. That is the darkest read of this whole broadcast. Because if the diss cycle really is the only lever Akbar V has left to pull, then every live stream, every preview, every critique, every bow your head freestyle, every scrolling chat, every rejection is not a bug in Akbar V's plan. It is the plan. It is the entire plan. And the plan is not working. And the plan is going to keep not working. And Akbar V is going to keep pulling the lever. Because the lever is the only lever. That is not a career. That is a compulsion. And compulsions do not respond to critique. Compulsions respond to consequences. And the consequences of the current cycle are already arriving in the form of freestyles, chat scrolls, industry ghosting, and a Cardi B who has stopped acknowledging the whole thing except through a Young Thug feature bar and a single called, "Ha." The consequences are here. The consequences are stacking. The consequences are compounding. And every additional live stream Akbar V hosts adds another consequence to the tab. Cardi B just watched Megan Thee Stallion's biggest crossover go diamond while all of this was unfolding. Read that back too. Diamond. Diamond certified. Diamond level. That is where Cardi B's peer group is operating. That is what the top of the market looks like this week. Diamond plaques on collaboration tracks. Diamond plaques on unified female rap moments. Meanwhile, the other side of the table, the reactive side, the diss cycle side, the diagonal shot side, the ricochet side, is on TikTok live asking a stranger to email over some notes. That gap is not narrow. That gap is oceanic. That gap is generational. That gap is a career sentence. And Akbar V is watching the gap widen in real time. So where does this leave us tonight? Where does the story land? Here is where we land it. Akbar V's next record, whenever it drops, is going to be judged not on its bars but on its ambient shadow. And the ambient shadow is now the live stream. The live stream is now permanent. The live stream is now the record's context. Every listener who presses play on the finished single is going to hear, in the back of their head, detailed critique on the back end. Every listener who presses play is going to hear, in the back of their head, bow your head. Every listener who presses play is going to hear, in the back of their head, imagine it's not going nowhere but YouTube. That is not a review. That is a haunting. And you cannot outrun a haunting on a diss cycle. The kindest thing anybody in Akbar V's corner could do tonight is not the loud thing. It is not the public defense. It is not the counterpost. It is not the receipt drop. It is not the, "you don't know Akbar V like I know Akbar V" post. It is the quiet thing. It is the phone call. It is the studio session that has nothing to do with Cardi B. It is the beat that has nothing to do with Cardi B. It is the feature that has nothing to do with Cardi B. It is the album that has nothing to do with Cardi B. It is the identity that has nothing to do with Cardi B. Because until Akbar V can stand in a booth without Cardi B's name being the wind in her sails, Akbar V does not have a career. Akbar V has a subscription to Cardi B's attention economy. And subscriptions expire. Between us, we have said everything we came here to say. This is where the segment lands. Akbar V has skill. Akbar V has a lane. Akbar V has a real story worth telling. But Akbar V is going to have to build a version of Akbar V that does not require Cardi B's silhouette to be visible. And that build is going to be a slow build. That build is not a live stream. That build is not a preview. That build is not a diss. That build is the boring, unsexy, patient work of writing songs that survive without a target. Nobody makes viral clips about the boring patient work. But nobody makes career-ending clips about it either. And right now Akbar V is producing the second kind of clip at a rate that no artist can survive. Which brings us all the way back around to the top of this whole segment, back to the very first frame we opened with, back to the "walls are closing in" line we started this whole story on. Because those walls are not metaphorical anymore. They are not editorial. They are not stylistic. They are literal. Those walls are the TikTok live stream Akbar V hosted. They are the freestyle Spider dropped on her. They are the detailed critique the stranger volunteered. They are the tomatoes in the chat. They are the diamond plaque Cardi B's peer group just picked up. They are the Young Thug feature Akbar V is not on. They are the Grammy nomination that has not arrived. They are the Beyoncé fantasy Akbar V cried out loud on a different live stream. They are the 10 unreturned diss records. They are the Atlantic copyright strike. They are the missing beat. They are the missing engineer. They are the missing manager. They are the missing rollout strategy. Every single one of those walls is real. Every single one of them is closing in. And Akbar V is standing dead center of the room. Tell us in the comments, straight up, no filter, did Akbar V just end her own run tonight, or is there a version of the story where Akbar V walks this back and turns the whole moment into a comeback arc? Because that comment thread is going to tell us who is really watching the culture and who is just watching the clips. Drop the honest read. Drop the receipts. Drop the plot twist. We read every one of them. And if you made it this far into this breakdown, do yourself a favor and hit the like, share this to whoever needs to see it, and subscribe to the channel because the next segment we have coming, the next segment, involves a Cardi B move that industry insiders are quietly saying could officially close the entire Akbar V chapter for good. Watch for that one. It is going to be loud. It is going to be surgical. It is going to be canon. And it is going to arrive sooner than anybody thinks. Peace.